Have you tried everything to get back in control with food and sugar? Maybe even spending thousands of dollars and countless hours on programs, books, courses, workshops. And maybe you have seen some shifts and a little bit of progress in your healing journey with food, but perhaps it's maybe just not going as fast as you'd hoped. Now, I myself have been on my deep inner healing journey with food and with myself for over the last 8 years now. And I have seen and done it all. Okay, maybe not all of it. There's still so much more to explore. And in this time and watching my clients with their journeys with food freedom, I have clearly noticed very obviously what tools and pieces actually make the biggest impact. So, not all healing tools are created equally. And there is actually one factor, one massive piece that most women overlook and don't realize as a vital component in creating lasting change from the inside out with food. So, today we're diving into this one piece that will make all the difference in your healing journey with food and self. But before we dive into that and today's incredible episode, I want to remind all of you that one of the best ways that you can give back to me and help encourage me to continue bringing you episodes every single week is by leaving a 5-star review. So please pause this episode, take a moment either on Apple or Spotify, wherever you're listening to this, to leave me an amazing review that helps me reach this show into even more eyes and in front of more women who actually need this deep support with food and with themselves. So thank you for everyone who has left a review, and deep gratitude for anyone who will take a moment right now and do that. All right, let's get into today's episode. Welcome to the Beyond Sugar Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Dame, holistic nutrition coach and speaker. Let's dive in. I'm so excited to dive deep into this topic and conversation around this missing piece that most women overlook in their healing journey with food. Now, I want to preface this with the deep understanding that over the last 8 years, I have done a lot. And I'm not saying that to brag. That's not my ego. I'm just mentioning to all of you that I have tried a lot of different tools and a lot of different angles and varieties of things to support me in my own healing journey. I've worked with coaches. I've worked with therapists. I've done programs and courses. I've done lots of energy work, even hypnosis, EFT, breath work, psychedelics, right? Psychedelic therapy and plant medicine work. I've done retreats. I've done fasting and cleansing. Obviously, listening to countless books, podcasts, documentaries. The list goes on. I have done a very wide array of incredible things in order to support me in my own healing journey with myself, which ultimately is my healing journey with food. Hopefully, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while now, you know that those two are synonymous. Now, each of these tools that I just shared, plus the many more that I didn't just share, have added deeply to my own healing journey in their own way. Every tool has supported me in a different way. But honestly, when I look at this list and I think back over the last 8 years of my journey, and I even reflect on what I've seen my clients partake in, I noticed that some of these tools are actually more powerful and more impactful than others. Some would maybe move the needle or produce results or transformations in a small way, and some would really make a massive difference in a short amount of time. So, what was the difference between these? What is it that makes certain tools or programs or courses, or I'm basketing all of these as tools? What is it that really makes the difference between something that's going to move the needle for you 1% versus what's going to really move the needle maybe 50, 60, 70% in a shorter amount of time? Now, you may quickly come to think, well, it must be the more money you spend. The more money that you spend in a program or a coach or a therapist, the more you're going to have transformation. Or maybe you're thinking that it's the length of time, right? This was so easy as well. Well, if I do a year-long program, that is going to obviously support me in making these changes bigger, quicker, versus just doing a 4-week long program. Now, of course, time and money can have an impact because they tend to be directly related to the quality of the tool that you are engaging in, right? If we're engaging in tools that tend to be free, an ebook or free workshops, we're going to get less results than something that we actually invest in a big way. And hopefully, what you're investing in is actually coming back with the value and the support of that coach or of that therapist or that healer that you're working with. Now, is it money? Is it time that makes the biggest difference? No, it's not. When I honestly look at the tools that I have used over the last 8 years and the tools that all of my clients have used to overcome their sugar addiction, to really do this deep inner healing, it's not about how much money you spend. It's not about the length of time that you do a program or you invest in a coach. What I have seen time and time again in my own journey and with all the women that I have worked with over the years is that the one piece, the one factor that makes the biggest impact every single time is the depth of connection, vulnerability, and community at play. Deep connection and community with others, especially women, walking this path with you is absolutely hands down the biggest factor in impacting your healing journey with self and with food. And yes, we can do this to some extent virtually. I mean, I see absolutely incredible results in my virtual programs and my membership community and the way that I show up and support my clients virtually on Zoom, right? On Zoom and in our communities. I mean, it's amazing that we can work with each other from all over the world. But I'm going to say something counterintuitive here because a lot of my business and a lot of the work that I do is virtual. But there is never, ever, ever, ever going to be anything that heals quite like being in person, in the flesh, with other women, really deeply diving into this vulnerable healing journey. Now, I can share recently my experience after having done countless trainings, programs, courses online. Every time that I invested in showing up in person, whether it was at a yoga retreat, meditation retreat, or most recently, my breathwork facilitator training that I just attended in February, these were always the most impactful weeks of my life. The most transformation, the most mental, emotional, and physical shifts I experienced. And I've become really curious about why this is. Right. And I'll pull on my most recent training, my week-long somatic breathwork facilitator training, where I gathered with 8 other incredible humans to dive deep into our own traumas, into our own healing journey, while also learning the tools and skills to facilitate others in this way. And the reason that these in-person events and retreats have been so impactful, when I reflect on this and I notice the difference between, having spent 8 years working virtually with my clients, the difference between what we can do on Zoom versus what we can do together in person. And some of the biggest factors that I think are underplayed or misunderstood is the power of being able to actually get a hug, the power of physical touch, the power of actually being able to look into somebody's eyes and really connect with their heart and their soul, to share space with beautiful other humans, to be able to have long conversations over meals together. When we have a couple hours together on Zoom every week, it's very different than living in a home together for a week, right? And getting to share the intricacies of our day and the conversations, the pockets of conversations, even outside of maybe structured programming, is where a lot of the magic happens. And we don't get to connect in this way when we're just on Zoom together. And as I'm going to talk about in a little bit, a massive part of the healing work that I support my clients with is around nervous system repatterning, right? And re-regulating. And a massive part of this is being able to actually co-regulate. You may have heard this term before, but this is actually where our nervous systems get together in the room together and support each other's nervous systems. So co-regulating is actually a massive part of how I am able to show up for my clients in bringing my regulated nervous system into possibly a space where yours is dysregulated and physically being able to be in that energetic connection. And that is not something that we can do in any of the same ways virtually. So I'm not bashing virtual, right? Just be clear here. I mean, there's so much that we can do. Virtual tools and programs can be supportive. Absolutely. They're wonderful ways for us to, attack this challenge with food and with ourselves from the comforts of our own home for longer periods of time, right? Over 6 months. We're not going to go and be together necessarily in person for 6 months. But these little pockets of time where we can come together in retreat and in connection and in deep, vulnerable spaces have always tenfolded my healing and really transformed the connections and the sense of community and compassion that I have in my life. Now, with all of this in mind, this is exactly why last year I began hosting my in-person retreats. This sugar freedom embodiment retreat. I hosted the first one in 2023, and I'm gearing up to host the second new and improved version of this retreat June 6th through 10th, 2024. So this is just a couple short months away, and I'm so excited to share a little bit with all of you about this retreat. For those who are curious, who resonate with what I'm sharing about the power of being in person, being connected with your fellow Sugar Freedom sisters, and actually being able to do this work together in a deeper way over the course of 5 days. So this is absolutely such an honor. This is by far my favorite way to work with clients, to gather as women. There is something for anyone listening to this who has ever been maybe to a yoga retreat or even to maybe a full moon ceremony or a women's circle. You'll know that there is something that I'm not even going to be able to put into words, something magic that happens when women come together with the intention of healing. And when we gather in circle together, in this way with this intention to hold each other with love and respect and non-judgment and really creating a safe space, which is an absolute passion of mine and a mandatory piece in our ability to actually open up vulnerably and to renegotiate a relationship with our emotions and our traumas, is just absolutely pure magic. It is pure magic, and it is such an honor, and it is something that I am going to be doing more in person. I think we now can see, hopefully we can see this, over the last couple of years in this massive example that we've all lived through of what it actually does to our mental, physical, emotional, spiritual health when we are disconnected and when we are physically disconnected from other humans. So when we can come back together and build these communities of vulnerability, of support, right? And actually talk about the real shit that's going on. Talk about our shame. Talk about the hate we have for our bodies and the guilt we have around the way that we eat, right? And the wounds that we all carry from childhood. And actually being in these spaces where we can explore this together is so deeply, profoundly healing that I so hope that for all of you, you find a way to build more in-person support into your lives and more of these healing options in person. Whether it is coming and joining us at the upcoming Sugar Freedom Embodiment Retreat or not, I hope that you find something in your area, something that calls to your soul and will support you in having those deeper levels of connections with other women and the honesty in your struggles with food. So I want to share a little bit with you. For anyone who is curious, would love to have you at the upcoming retreat. It is a small, intimate group of no more than 10 women. It is this beautiful house mansion right on the ocean on a small island outside of Vancouver, BC. We gather together in this home and cohabitate while we co-regulate and do this deep work in healing our relationships with food. There's so much included here. I'm going to, of course, have the link to the information page where you can come and apply to join us in the show notes below. You can find it also at danielledame.com/retreat. But some of the things that you can really look forward to is 5 days of incredible deep sisterhood healing. We're going to do a 5-day sugar detox together. We're going to be deep diving into various somatic workshops and very inner root cause healing when it comes to your addictive patterns with food. We're going to be approaching topics like emotional catharsis, emotional release, emotional baggage. We're going to do some emotional work. We're going to really dive into the shame that we carry, the guilt that we carry, tapping into how to love ourselves again, tapping into healing our inner child, and even tapping into fun and play. We're going to be really doing a lot of beautiful things at this retreat. And you're actually going to have a say in which workshops we dive into, because the women who register will pick and choose what topics they feel are going to be most supportive for them. And I will curate our schedule based off of that. So there's a lot that is going to happen at this retreat. We're going to be nourished with delicious foods. You're going to learn how to love cooking again. We're going to be doing some cooking classes and really engaging with our food, nourishing blood sugar friendly food in a really, really beautiful way. And this retreat is ultimately for women who are ready to actually do the deep inner healing at a next level. I know a lot of women who came to my last retreat had done my online programs or been following me for a while, listening to this podcast for a while, and were really ready to sort of step it up to the next level with their healing and really see the value in what I have just been talking about for the last 20 minutes in the deep, deep importance of being together in person as women. Of course, this is also an amazing opportunity for women who are looking for lasting friendships and connection. And as I mentioned, this sisterhood of bond that is going to be created when we walk through fire together. When we walk through these vulnerable places together, it creates a level of connection that many of us have maybe never experienced. So if you're looking to actually have some support, we are going to be doing a 5-day sugar detox together. So if that's something that you really need support to kick off your sugar journey with, then this is absolutely a beautiful place for you to come and detox by the ocean and soak it all in as we navigate into some really powerful healing modalities together. And of course, you're going to walk away from this retreat. The women who leave this retreat will have a new sense of love and connection for yourself, a new hope and excitement to actually continue your sugar freedom journey and your healthy eating journey. You're going to have new tools to support when life gets hard, when difficult emotions come up, and also new tools to consistently be supporting, regulating your nervous system, and perhaps even healing your traumas. You're going to have deep connections that are going to last a lifetime, and just so much more is going to come out of this. That deep sense of knowing that you've got this and that you are powerful beyond anything that you've ever been told or know. So there's a lot here, and I'm so excited to be inviting all of you to join us this June at outside of Vancouver, BC. Beautiful area. And if you definitely want to come join us, I encourage you to come check out the information page and apply before April 1st. So there is an early bird deadline where I'm offering a $500 discount on all room types. And you can come and apply to join us by April 1st in order to get those lower prices. After that, prices go up by $500. And there is a variety of options. There's shared rooms, there's camping living options, and even some private rooms left. So depending on the accommodation type that you want, I've got it all laid out for you, and you'll come and see some of the amazing photos and even a little beautiful video from last year's retreat. So thank you for letting me share all of that. And I really hope that this episode has sparked something in you to understand that there's just something missing when we focus all of our healing energy and modalities and try all these things virtually. And yes, I know virtual is much more accessible financially, time-wise, for a lot of women. And that is a wonderful place to start. But there will never, internet, Zoom will never, ever, ever replace what real in-person connection can feel like and can support us in the healing journey with. Getting to witness each other in the physical flesh and being able to look into each other's eyes and hug each other and laugh and smile together and connect over food. I mean, this in itself is such a healing piece that we have become so disconnected from as women. The beauty of actually cooking together and laughing and chatting and sharing and crying over meals together. It is so cathartic. It is so healing. And I cannot wait to be supporting the next round of women who say yes to themselves and come join us in person at the Sugar Freedom Embodiment Retreat this summer, June 2024. So excited. All right. Thank you for tuning in to this episode here. I'm so glad that you are in one way or another, hopefully going to commit to do more in person. Do more, whether it's join a women's group, a women's circle, maybe start one yourself, go to conferences, go to in-person events, whether you have to travel or not, making that a priority in 2024, I think is the new way that we are going to see deep healing actually taking place. I hope you do that. I hope this inspires you to do that. And of course, I deeply hope that you will apply to come and join us at the upcoming Sugar Freedom Embodiment Retreat this June. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. If you're loving what we talked about today, please remember to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone you love. And if you're ready to dive deeper into discovering your root causes and patterns that are keeping you hooked on sugar, be sure to check out our brand new free workshop series that will help you kick emotional eating for good. Find the link to download this free series and other amazing resources in the show notes below.